All right, ready to dive deep. Today, we're going way beyond just your basic sun sign. You know the one you see in the newspaper? We're talking all about moon signs and how they influence our emotions. We've got an awesome guide to help us unpack this, so let's jump in.
Okay, so think of it like this. Your sun sign. That's kind of like your public image. It's that part of you everyone sees, that you are at a party. But your moon sign, that's different. It's the hidden side. It's the intimate side, like the real you. It governs your inner world, how you are when you're home, maybe curled up with a good book.
Oh, I see. So like sun is how you act outwardly, moon is your inner feelings?
Exactly. It's all about your instincts, your reactions to things, what you need to feel safe, emotionally secure.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm already kind of hooked. But if the moon sign is about its position when you're born, wouldn't everyone born on, like, the same day have the same moon sign?
That's where it gets super interesting. You see, the moon moves through those zodiac signs really fast. I mean, it changes signs like every 2.5 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so even just being born a few hours apart can totally change your moon sign. It's pretty wild.
Wow, okay. So much more specific than just, like, your birth month.
Mhm.
So how do we figure out our own moon sign then?
The easiest way. Definitely those online moon sign calculators. You just put in your birth date, the exact time if you know it, and where you were born, boom, there it is. Like magic. Well, actually, it's astronomy, of course.
Right.
Now, if you're really into astrology, you can make a whole natal chart or even calculate it yourself with an ephemeris. But those online calculators, they're a great starting point.
Calculators it is.
Yeah.
So let's say we've all done our homework. We know our moon signs. Why should we even care? Is this just fun cosmic trivia? Or can knowing your moon sign actually help you practically?
Oh, no. It's way more than just trivia. Think of your moon sign like a user manual for your emotions. It can help you understand why you do the things you do, why you react certain ways, what you need to feel safe and loved in your relationships, even what kind of self-care will really help you deep down.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Practical stuff. Can you give us some examples? Like our guide mentioned a few specific moon signs. What were some that stuck out to you?
Let's see. Well, people with a Taurus moon, they just love comfort, stability. They like those simple pleasures in life. They might be the type to create a super comfy home where they can just relax and unwind.
Wait, are you saying, like, my love for soft blankets and the perfect cup of tea is written in the stars? Because that is, like, weirdly accurate.
Maybe it is. Now, on the totally opposite end of that, you've got the Gemini moon. These folks, they need their brains stimulated to be happy. Think lively chats, learning new stuff all the time, lots of variety, to keep things interesting.
Oh, that explains so much about some of my friends. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. What about those Scorpio moons? We always hear about how intense they are.
Scorpio moons, they're definitely fascinating. They experience everything on a much deeper level than most. So their emotions are strong. They think about the big questions in life. Say you've got a Scorpio moon and you're having an argument with someone. You might find yourself, trying to analyze everything. What's underneath it all? Everyone's motivations, all those hidden feelings.
Ooh, sounds intense. But also kind of cool. I'm starting to see how knowing this stuff could really come in handy. But I bet there's some, like, common mistakes people make with moon signs, right? Like mixing them up with their sun sign?
Totally, yeah. The biggest one is thinking your sun sign IS your moon sign. But remember, those are separate things on your chart. Each one gives you different information. And another big one is just looking at your birthday month and thinking that's enough. We already talked about how important that exact birth time and place is, right?
Yeah. It's like saying everyone with brown hair is the same way, too simple.
Exactly. Now, of course, some people just aren't into astrology, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. We're not saying it's hard science or anything. It's more like a symbolic language to help you understand yourself and other people.
A language we're decoding right here.
Mhm.
So we got these moon signs. We know why they matter. But how does it all fit into, like, the whole astrological picture with the rest of our birth chart?
Well, it's not just about your moon sign by itself, right? You have to look at it with your sun and rising signs too to really get the whole picture. Like baking a cake, you need all the ingredients.
So adding those other things makes it even more, like, personalized.
Oh, for sure. And to make it even more complex, the phase of the moon when you were born, was it a full moon, new moon? That adds even more layers of insight into your emotional energy.
Oh, man, my mind is blown. Okay, I'm totally hooked. Let's dive in even deeper, shall we?
Welcome back. I'm pumped to keep going. We've barely scratched the surface of moon signs.
I know, right? It's so cool. But I feel like we've got, like, the basics.
Yeah.
But what else should we be thinking about when we're looking at our moon signs? What other details?
Well, first, It's good to remember that astrology is complicated. You know, moon signs are just one piece of it. It's like having flour for a cake, you need all the other ingredients too.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. So it's not like, oh, you have this moon sign, so this is always how you'll be.
Nope. Your sun and rising signs matter a lot too. And plus, like, your life experiences totally shape how your moon sign shows up.
That's good to hear. We're not like robots controlled by the stars. We have choices, but moon signs can give us clues, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like a map, not the actual place.
Yeah.
And speaking of maps, we should talk about houses. You know, where your moon sign is in your chart. That makes a difference too.
Oh, yeah, houses. I know a bit about those, but could you explain for our listeners who might not?
Sure. So picture your whole birth chart like a clock.
Yeah.
12 sections, right?
Hmm.
Each one of those is a house, and each house is about a different part of your life. So, like, where your moon sign falls in those houses,
Well,
that tells you how your emotions show up in that area of life.
so, like, if my moon's in the fourth house, which is like home and family,
Mm.
that means I'm extra sensitive about those things. Homebody, maybe.
Exactly. Or, say your moon's in the 10th house. That's all about career, your public image. So you might get your emotional fulfillment from, like, achievements, getting recognized for your work, things like that.
It's crazy how much depth there is to this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just like, are you happy or sad today? It's all tied into everything in our lives.
It's true. It's like having your own little roadmap for your feelings. And this whole idea of the moon influencing us, it's not new. You know, people have known about this for like forever.
Oh, yeah, like ancient cultures used to follow the moon cycles, right, for farming and things.
Yeah. Right. They noticed it was connected to, well, pretty much all of life's rhythms, like fertility and, of course, emotions. So, like, the specifics of how we interpret moon signs nowadays, maybe that's changed a bit. But the basic idea that the moon is about your inner world, people have believed that for centuries.
It's so cool how much those ancient beliefs still, like, resonate with us today. It's powerful.
I know, right? The moon, you know how it goes through its phases. It's like it's mirroring our own emotions going up and down. It's like a reminder we're all part of something bigger.
Getting all deep here.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how learning about astrology is a, like, never-ending thing. There's always more to discover.
Totally. The more you learn, the more interesting it gets.
You know, it's not just about memorizing a bunch of stuff either, right? It's about using this knowledge to make our lives better, more meaningful.
Absolutely. In the end, astrology is about helping us understand ourselves and where we fit in, you know, in the universe. Can help you grow, be more understanding others, make connections.
Love that. Okay, one more thing I'm really curious about, and I bet our listeners are too. Love. Can moon signs tell us anything about romantic relationships?
Ah, love. The ultimate mystery, right.
Well, remember how we were talking about moon sign compatibility? That can tell you a lot about, like, how two people will relate to each other emotionally. Imagine a couple where one person has a fiery Aries moon and the other's got a more grounded Taurus moon.
Ooh, that sounds kind of like Clash of the Titans, right? Two very different energies.
It could be, yeah. The Aries moon, they might be super spontaneous, want to excite them all the time. But the Taurus moon, they crave that stability, routine, you know. Doesn't mean it can't work, but they might need to, like, really pay attention to each other's needs.
So it's about finding that balance.
Totally. Maybe they compromise, you know, adventurous weekends, but chill weeknights. It's all about understanding each other, not judging.
Compromise is key in so many areas of life. So besides those like potentially explosive pairings, are there any moon sign combos that are just like naturally good together? For sure. If two people's moon signs are in the same element, you know, fire, earth, air, or water, they tend to get along really well, like a Cancer and a Scorpio moon. Both water signs. They'd probably have this deep emotional bond, almost like they can read each other's minds.
Those water signs, always so intuitive. What about air signs?
They're all about connecting through ideas, communication. Think of a Gemini moon with an Aquarius moon. They could talk for hours, bouncing ideas back and forth, always wanting to learn new things.
Sounds like a dream team. But even though this is super fascinating, I don't want people thinking they should, like, ask someone their birth time on a first date or
Oh,
something.
God, no. Astrology is helpful, but, you know, it's not the only thing that matters. Don't let it rule your love life.
Right. Connection, shared values, being able to talk openly. That's still the most important.
Absolutely. It's about using knowledge to make your life better, not letting it control you. So besides romantic stuff, how else can knowing about moon signs help with, like, all our other relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm curious too. Okay, so we're back and ready to kind of wrap up our deep dive here into all things moon signs. But before we do, I'm super curious about this. You know how we've been saying knowing moon signs can help our relationships, but not JHST romantic ones? What about family, friends, even like people we work with?
You're totally getting it now. It's amazing how much moon signs can, like, change how you see those everyday relationships.
I know. So give us some examples. Like, how would knowing someone's moon sign actually help in real life?
Oh, okay. Well, think about trying to understand your parents, right? Knowing their moon signs can help you see, like, their parenting style and what they need emotionally. Maybe your mom's got a Cancer moon, so she's all about nurturing, needs that emotional closeness. But your dad's a Capricorn moon. He's more about practical stuff, structure.
Whoa, that's like that's spot on for my parents. It's
Mhm.
like suddenly you get why they do the things they do.
Yeah. Right. Or think about your best friend. Say they're a Virgo moon, super organized, detail oriented, and they're having a hard time with something. Instead of just saying, like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know what to do, you can help them get organized, offer practical advice, things that actually make them feel better.
It's like having a cheat sheet for all your relationships. Things that used to be confusing just make sense.
Exactly. And the coolest thing is, when you understand this stuff, you can be more understanding in those relationships. You communicate better, you offer support that actually works, and you can handle those, like, inevitable arguments a little more smoothly.
Man, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. We started by asking, what even is a moon sign? And now we're talking about using this stuff to make our closest bonds even stronger.
It's pretty amazing, right? And honestly,
Hmm.
we've only just scratched the surface of astrology. There's a whole universe out there to explore.
I know, it's a bit mind-blowing, but in a good way. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want people to take away from all this?
That's a good question. I think the most important thing is, while astrology can give us all this cool info, it's up to us how we use it, you know? We can let it help us understand ourselves better, connect with others better, or just appreciate how amazing the universe is.
I love that. It's not about being, like, controlled by the stars.
Yeah.
It's about having choices and using this ancient knowledge to make our lives and our relationships even better.
That's it. So everyone listening, now that you know about moon signs, what will you do? Will you use it to make your relationships stronger, explore your own feelings, or just enjoy the beauty of the cosmos? It's up to you.
And hey, this is only the beginning. There's so much more to learn about astrology if you're interested.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep looking up at the stars.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into moon signs, everyone. Until next time, happy stargazing.